The final manager hire of the offseason, it's a big one. Aaron Boone went from player to broadcaster to Yankees manager at 44 years old. No previous coaching experience at any level. Ports and Wakefield, they've showed this clip a million times, the walk-off blast in 2003 with the Yankees. So no previous coaching experience. Although I got to say, Joel, based on seeing the candidate list, I'm not surprised. They're looking for the next A.J. Hinch. This could be the guy.
Well, there's no surprise here because once the Yankees decided not to bring back Joe Girardi, there was no one out there sitting like Joe Girardi, right? When the Yankees went from Torre to Girardi, Girardi had played for, coached, broadcast the Yankees. He had been a manager for the Marlins only 1 year, but he was the National League Manager of the Year in that 1 year. He had experience. He knew the Steinbrenner family well. He knew Brian Cashman well. He knew the personnel well. He knew how the Yankees worked well. He was sitting on a tee for them to go ahead and get. There was nobody, like if you just say, forget the 6 candidates, you have a choice of anybody who was available sitting out there, you were going to get a guy who we'd be sitting during this segment and say,
no experience.
You know, or some experience, but can he handle, like Eric Wedge who had experience. It was losing experience. Could he handle New York, etc.? So I think there was this. I will say one thing about the Aaron Boone no experience thing. In the interviews with the Yankees, from what I understood, in some ways it worked a little to his benefit, and I'm curious what John Smoltz is going to say since he now does games, is Boone never coached or managed in the minor leagues. He never coached or managed in the major leagues. But for the past 8 years, he's been allowed behind the wall of every organization of a game he broadcasts. And if he's been thinking about managing, which he has, he's been listening to what he likes and doesn't like that managers are doing in every organization. How did you handle taking this guy out of the rotation? How'd you handle sending a guy down, etc.? And he's been learning, like, you know, he's a trustworthy guy. They've probably shown him some of the analytics. And there's an education that he got that maybe you don't need the other traditional one anymore. I'm not sure about that. I still think that you can't box unless you box. And so I'm curious how he'll handle everything. But it is a different way of looking at what his education system was for this job.
Yeah, you get a little taste of everything. I buy into that, doing some play-by-play where you get some inner workings, some inside knowledge. I'm sure you get that too. Does that help?
Oh, I think it does, and you know which managers are going to give you real stuff and which aren't. You know, you decipher between the two. It's a tough job. Look, today, more so than ever before, more games are nationally televised, more games, more managers have to have post-game press conferences. I played for a guy that never had a press conference, ever. He sat in his office, and the interview was if you came in there and you wanted to ask him questions. I think...
Can we go back to those days?
It would be nice.
Yes.
It would be nice. Whether or not today is managing with training wheels, or do you just get to ride your own bike, right? You've got to manage men. You've got to lead men. This is a very difficult task. Information's great. Analytics can be great, but you have to lead men. And if you know how to lead men and know that 25 guys have 25 different personalities and you can't cookie cut every single one of them, you have a chance. But if you're just a conduit of what somebody else is telling you what to do, then that's a total different way to manage. I think Aaron Boone, in the absolute first job of his career, is in the one place where every single thing he does is going to be talked about.
And players can detect a fraud. I mean, players know if a guy is a conduit of management or if he's actually standing up for them. He's going to have to go in there and win that clubhouse over it. It doesn't matter that he did play for a long time. He's been a broadcaster. He hasn't put on that uniform as a manager. He hasn't gone in there and addressed him as a manager. He has to win over that clubhouse, and that will be the biggest challenge for him.
I will say this to follow up on John. I think all 30 jobs are tough, and I won't pretend that this one isn't. But I think in the last 40 years, this is the best time ever to be named Yankee manager. First of all, you get Hal Steinbrenner instead of George Steinbrenner, and the difference cannot be overstated what that is. You know, you're going to get some time to make some mistakes along the way. The Yankees front office is a well-run front office. They will provide you money and players, and in this case, prospects. They'll make trades in July. They'll get free agents in the offseason. You come in with a young team ready to win. Maybe that's pressure, but I'd rather have a shot to win than what goes on my resume right away. No matter what anybody says is, hey, you're here to rebuild, and then they're like, boy, all you do is lose. Well, he's going to have a shot to win from the very beginning. This is as good as it's ever going to get for Yankee manager. what he walks into right now.
And this is the trend in baseball right now. We look at all of the hires. 5 out of 6 are now the new manager hires are going to be spending time in the major leagues as a manager for the first time.